So she didn't really fit in at Laskwood, to be honest. She fits in great when they pulled out the catapults and were launching people across 3 to 4 sims. And those were the days.
Yes.
Copper says it was all in fun. They had a contest to see who could launch an AV the furthest. Copper went for 2 or 2.5 sim lengths. In those days you could safely cross sim borders though. They were the good old days. Not like today where the gangplank might fall out from under you. And sadly, Raymond Nightfire says those AV pults don't work that well anymore. So Willow has been in Second Life since March 2006, and she became tiny in the summer of 2006. Seth Stratton comments that she's been adorable from the start. Willow bought the very avatar she's wearing now, very dashing with purple hair. And
Vixel hats off his coat.
Willow's a she. Okay, Willow says, one of the best parts of being a tiny is our shape. We are all smooth eggs, at least in the older tinies.
Okay, and Copper says, only when I'm relaxed. Ferrets are slinkies with fur, so we're squat when relaxed, but long when we stretch out.
And Willow says this is true, and cats never reveal all their secrets.
Which are bringing some smiles from our audience.
Absolutely. Someone says we have secrets. Someone seems, in my view, to have a long tongue reaching for the cake. By the way, there's cake on stage. Everyone can have cake.
And remember, no calories. Skippy says, cake with 6 exclamation points. Oh, and Carla says, someone said there would be waffles. But Carl also says cake will do, though.
I'm looking for waffles in my inventory now, Carla, but I think I'm a cake specialist, really, rather than waffles.
Oh, yes, and one of the audience is saying, oh, there's waffles, there's always waffles.
Okay, so can you tell me about Raglanshire, you two?
Okay, Copper says, Zahn, you want to answer that one. Sophia's question about, tell me about Raglanshire. What is it?
Willow says it's a beautiful, fun place. Yeah, and Copper says insanity. Okay, I'm going to speak for Willow. And Cinders, do you want to speak for Copper?
Sure, I'd love to.
Okay. So Willow says dances and trivia. Zane says it's a community of tinies and friends spread across 7 sims. There's baby talk. Everything happens there.
Copper says pure, undiluted, weapons-grade insanity.
Right now, the Ool is open for swimming.
Yes.
And Copper says, yes!
in a ool. What do you mean an ool? What is an ool? Raymond Nightfire says, I like to compare Raglanshire with Jim Henson's Muppets. We do a lot of crazy things and events. And then there are classes at Raglan U. Ah, this is an ool. An ool is a pool with no P in it. There's no P in our ool.
Copper says we have theme months. Right now it is Summer of Woot. So we have the ool. It's like a pool without the P until Dagmar gets in. Okay.
So someone has said of Raglanshire that, hang on, let me scroll back because people are talking really quickly.
Okay, Bixel says, hey, you mean there are guys like Fozzie Bear and Crazy Harry? Chuckles.
Yes, someone said, Raymond Nightfire said, I like to compare Raglanshire with Jim Henson's Muppets. We do a lot of crazy things and events. So Bixel's response, hey, I think that, hey, you mean there are guys like Fozzie Bear and Crazy Harry? So Dean Kayak heads up Raglan University. And then Copper says in August we'll have August Pirate Month. Willow Vega says some of the most brilliant minds of Second Life are hidden inside Tinies. And then there are the rest of us.
And Copper says, yes. Lots of laughing.
Yeah, lots of laughing at those. Copper says we tend to go way past all out for our event months. We renovate the entire Shire for winter, for example, and Pirate Month.
And summer.
And then there's Art Walk. They had over 150 different artists this year on a hedge. Thousands of pieces of art displayed on hedges.
Yes.
All of a sudden, we got lost in a hedge maze. We just finished Art Walk. It's gone, and sad music plays. All you need is a hedge.
And Bixel wants to know, okay, how did the hedge joke get started? Caleb Kitt says it's where we can live in a community of folks like ourselves once we have found our, quote, inner tiny, unquote.
And Willow says of Art Walk, it will come back again. Console yourself to patience and have some waffles.
Copper says, how did the hedge thing come about? Lots of laughing.
2D art, Art Walk, 2D art is shown on hedges all throughout Raglanshire.
Copper says, as far as I know, we needed a neat way to display art and hedge was convenient. And it just kind of fell into everything else. Sculptures, oh, Caleb says sculptures are shown on various Sims.
There is lots of people arriving and being greeted and shouts of hi and hello and
yay and every other kind of greeting.
I hope Bixel's writing all this down for his newspaper. Shakespeare Shamrock says there's a tiny invasion today by the looks of it. Yep, it's a tiny invasion.
Copper says, yeah, but it's just a little one.
I still remember being trapped up that tower in the Winterfell birthday build.
Yes.
Being waffle bombed from the air. Tinies outside with their pitchforks and torches.
Skippy says, I went tiny 2 years ago and never looked back. Tiny life is a ton of fun. And everybody
Raymond
agrees.
Nightmare says, I've been a tiny for over 5 years now. I'm going to ask a question. Do many of you find that you have one particular type of tiny, or do you swap between different, so one day you're a cat, another day you're a panda, or do you tend to always be a cat or a panda?
Oh, we're getting results shouted out. B says cat. Zane says bunny. Skippy says ferret.
And Shakespeare Shamrock says comparethemeerkat.com.
Caleb says, I have several tiny avatars, but I'm a teddy bear 95% of the time.
And Skippy is a bird. I would have thought Skippy would be a tiny kangaroo, but never mind.
Copper says, it's been over a year since I was a biggie at all, and several years since I was a biggie more than, say, 30% of the time. Is all ferret.
As you can see, Saffia, tinies do not accept being controlled. I've worked that out.
Copper says, yes, we are kind of like cats in that way.
Skippy says, I never heard of that silly kangaroo until I made this house.
Copper says, speaking of, how did your attempt at controlling a cat go?
She is now lying on my desk by my keyboard being stroked.
For those of you who don't know, Saffia's real life cat is Siobhan and is a celeb in her own right.
She is. She's a little white cat with a very loud voice. Siobhan?
Yes, there we go. Siobhan.
Siobhan.
That is her real life cat you just heard. And Skippy saying that cat has you in her power.
Yeah.
Oh, and Skippy, yes, we all associate the name Skippy with kangaroos because of the Aussie TV show that was broadcast over here in, the 1970s? Skippy the kangaroo.
Same here. Okay, so next question. Tinies are famous for their building skills. Why do you think tinies are such eager, incredible builders?
Carla raises her hand. Go ahead, Carla. Oh,
it's a waffle best served with bacon. As long as there's syrup involved, I don't think it matters.
Kayla Kit says, we have to make all our own stuff tiny size.
Copper says a waffle is best served with just about anything but liver. Okay, someone, Kayak Koo, has asked the question, how much does a tiny avi cost? And Willow says, Wink's tiny is 350 lindens with a basic AO. We have some very nice free clothes.
Copper says there are very basic tiny avs to be had for free.
And Thea says a dinky is 400 linden. In case any of you haven't come across the dinkies, they are a new tiny avatar. They are small mesh cats. And Willow says we have swagtastic sale every weekend with great stuff for 50 Londons. And the marketplace is full of free tiny avies. And there are some free at Raglan Welcome Centre.
Swagtastic!
Copper says, I've had mine for so long I couldn't tell you what I paid for it. I think it was 400 linden 5 years ago. Copper also says there should be some freebies at the Raglan Welcome Center. Yes. And Copper also says there are also freebies to be found all over the Shire. And the Swagtastic Weekend sales with some really great stuff.
Lots and lots of gestures. Gestures are very important to Tinies, aren't they?
Yes.
So one could be set up at Tiny for very little money. I've just said that gestures are important and we're getting lots of response that they are. In fact, we're having gestures that say yes and we're having pause gestures. I know that we're going to see some of the other stuff later on. 2 paws up, says Caleb. Way up.
And Copper's doing, I wanna.
Okay, Copper's going to try another one.
Wobble!
Okay, I hope Pet's able to get some of these gestures.
Yay, Toady!
Bye, Skippy.
Bye, Skippy. And you waddle off very cutely, Skippy.
Yeah.
And I want some Play-Doh and a
Okay, Copper says his gesture, and I want some Play-Doh and a Super Ball and a new electric guitar and a Rocket Rabbit action figure. And a squirt gun that shoots acid. Okay.
Okay. Zane says that each theme month, new gestures will appear at the event locations. That's one of our Wootmas gestures. So Wootmas happens in the winter, could I guess?
Take me to your leader. Done go in the basement.
Right now, being in the summer of Woot, they have summer and beach-themed items.
And right now we're also seeing a bunch of stuff on screen.
Yay!
Okay, they're having a free-for-all of gestures right now.
Right. Winterfest is December and January. And then there's Wootstock, Wootmas, Summer of Woot, Argist, which is the pirate ceremony, Medieval Fest.
Yes.
And Copper says it's possible you've seen and heard Tinies out caroling during the Cecil winter months of December and January, and it gets very creepy in Shocktober.
Oh, Shocktober's great. I've been there.
Now, Copper says we have groups that tour the grids singing. And there's a big parade at Mardi Gras. So actually, it seems a very strong community. Would you say that Tinies form a very strong community?
Copper says we have regular fixed year-round stuff as well. A beach, Paradise Island, a space station, a memorial walk, park spaces.
Yes.
And they're agreeing about the strong community. They're saying that Tinies are always there for friends, and every Tiny is our friend.
Copper says we work hard to resolve drama before it becomes drama.
That's excellent. And the owners really try to have all Tinies involved, not just the wealthy or their best buddies. Bixel wants to know if those celebrating Woodstock have too much of something that makes them dizzy.
Maybe
Caleb
less
says,
said.
I came to Second Life the first time in 2005. Came back as Caleb in December of 2006. I was leaving in 2008 when NCI had a party and the theme was Tiny. Raymond and the other Tinies at NCI helped me, and all of a sudden I saw the teddy bear. Bam! I found my inner Tiny. I became a member of the Raglandshire community in early 2009, and I have never left.
Zane says it takes a village to raise a waffle. And Copper responds to Bixel, I cannot speak to that, Bixel.
Okay. Zane says, Summer Wootstock. I'm running. Hush, Tinies. I'm getting behind. Summer Wootstock is the best. The colours. Zoom. Look at the colours. Oh, wow. The colours. Shakespeare Shamrock says, how tiny. Go on with friends. Raglan group. Always helping Tinies. It's awesome. And
Copper says, I think it's kind of how it went for a lot of us, Caleb. Willow says, Tinies are always dizzy. Copper says, we met another tiny or 2 dozen and were instantly drawn in.
Zane says, make waffles, not war. Shamrock says, I asked my tiny friends where I could meet more tinies. Okay.
Hey, got pyrattitude? Yarr.
Shakespeare says, I like war. War makes me Lindens. Okay. Right, Carla raises her hand. Are the tiny families like mums and dads and kids?
Copper says, I started out at Mouse Smart, pauses to mourn, and then Huggies, and then ended up at Raglan once it really got formed into a place.
B says there are prim charades and tiny wood squares and speed building contests.
Copper looks around.
Willow says there's not very much that she knows of on the family side of doing things.
Copper says, aside from the cliche answer of we are all one big family, I really don't know.
Okay. Willow says most of us are not mature enough to be parents.
Yes.
And Willow says check back with me next century.
Copper says, in my personal experience, the family setups often end up with lots of drama going on, and Raglan is generally known as a place without a lot of drama.
Okay. Zane says, Kayak says there are some couples that both do tiny, as well as a few life mother-child tinies. Zane says it's not really a role-play community. Everyone's just silly.
Copper says, yep.
Caleb says there are and have been real-life mums and daughters and sons in Raglandshire. Shakespeare says all tinies are family. Don't have to be mummy, daddy, sister or brother to be awesome family. Just need to be tiny.
Louie!
Raymond says, go ahead.
Raglan is one of the few communities that doesn't have drama. And Copper says we do have some real life couples, some that started as tinies, met, fell in love, blah blah blah.
Copper says a few that were couples in real life when they came in.
And Willow says tinies really do avoid drama. Plenty of places for drama.
Copper says, but yeah, the role play side we don't really get, I don't think.
B says, on the other hand, her first tiny event was a wedding. And I thought there was a famous wedding at last year's Fantasy Fair that involved a tiny.
Yes.
Oh, yes, that's right. I forgot about that, Saffia. Oh, Shakespeare says, just need waffle and river dance, that's how we roll.
Don't mention that yet. 5 minutes of ceremony, hours of dancing in that wedding. Okay, you can dance later, okay? I'll give the cue. You can dance later when we come to the end of this. We also have some friendly child avatars that visit Raglan on a regular basis. And Zane says our weddings are real. Carla says, I like going to tiny places. It makes me feel big. B says it was an SL wedding of 2 tinies that just had their real life wedding. That's sweet.
Copper says, how many weddings have we had now? 3? And Copper also says Teal and, I forget his name, Jojo and Hydane. 3 or 4 weddings. 4 or so memorials.
3 weddings. And all of them are actual weddings. And yes, they have memorials too.
And lots of greetings to people who are still arriving.
There was, Zane says, couples married in real life, and then they all insisted on online wedding in Raglan. Cobb says, I think I've been at all the weddings and most, if not all, of the memorials. So the memorials were Joker and Nin, and Shakespeare was close to both of them. But the weddings were Teal and Wolfie, Jaffro and Kitty, Legolas and Bloodwine, Jojo and Hydane. Everyone's saying bye to Shakespeare who's going.
Copper says, hopefully Lani and her boy in the near future, they're still dragging their feet.
Oh, B is staying, Carla's leaving.
Bye, okay. Carla.
Boots and Sadie were wed. But Willow says, we're really more about being spontaneous.
Copper says, sounds like maybe 5 weddings or so far. Saffia, am I opening up a barrel of monkeys if I ask what the silly cube is that B's mentioning?
Go for it.
Okay, Tinies, what is the silly cube that B just mentioned?
Willow says we don't have a sandbox, we have a silica cube.
Ah. Copper says one thing we used to do, and time permitting I still try to do sometimes, is the RDP, the Random Dance Party. Caleb says, we party for any or no reason. Laughing. Copper says, that was pioneered by Lonnie, myself, Karma, and a few others. Caleb says, the silly cube is our sandbox. Silica cube, cubicle, instead of a sandbox. Apparently it's got a lot of nicknames, but it's a sandbox.
Okay.
Oh my God.
Shady still does random darts parties. Time for Tinies after dark. Gosh. I think you need to be very careful because we all need to be very PG here. It says we can party but we still has to respect builders in the silly cube.
I just feel like I've been a decoder.
Yeah. Okay, so any more questions from our audience?
Oh, and Willow says Tinies are kind to each other, and Copper responds, very.
Any more questions from the audience? Because I've got a couple.
And so do I. Copper says, we have lots of dance venues, one of every sim, I think, and if not, all we need is some space.
Pixel is asking, how many brands of Tiny Av are there?
Oh,
huge
lots is what you
number.
B says 3 at least. Copper says, I think there are 3 big ones, but I think they're talking about dance venues still. Okay,
No, they're
Willow's
talking
answering.
about the different brands.
Ah.
Winks has a lot of different tinies. There are dinkies and cabs, but anyone can make a tiny. And Zane points out it should be noted that Winks actually coined the name tiny. And then the parakeets are made by another person. If you go to some of the Japanese and Korean sims, there are the tiny creators. So there are maybe 50 to 100 different tiny avatars. So there are several tiny av makers. The two biggest ones are Winks Whiplash and Noramir Gullwing. So, but Bixel, were you actually asking how many makers there were or how many actual avatars there are?
I think he was asking about how many avatars there are.
Noramir makes lots of birdies. And Raymond says my av comes from one of the Japanese tiny makers. 1 million.
And I think Zane is exaggerating a little bit, 1 million.
But there are definitely a lot of tinies, different varieties of tiny. And Willow says very many of the tinies build well enough to make ourselves our own, except well. And Willow says I'm very fond of my fellow cats.
Okay, now we're getting all kinds of cat and kitten gestures.
One of us. One of us.
And more cat gestures. Uh-oh, Caleb's going, cats. Giovanna is asking, what should big people learn from tinies?
Kayak says tinies learn stuff too at Raglan U. We have classes every week with Todi Nakamura, our lead instructor. She and Flea built the main stage island at 10 SLB. Sorry, SL10B. Other tinies teach at Raglan U as well. Yeah, if you haven't seen Toadie and Flea's stage, do go and check it out. It's awesome.
Copper says, what to learn? Ditch the drama, don't sweat the small stuff, and have fun. Caleb says, we like everyone and we are not toys or pets. Copper says, oh, and be nice.
So, Pixel said, hey Caleb, did someone try to package you?
I am not a snack.
Caleb says, I have had numerous offers of adoption over the years. Copper says, I am not a snack.
Yes.
Kaiser smart.
Caleb says, but I run fast. Copper says, I had an encounter with some biggies who tried to adopt me, then threatened to kidnap me. We are not pets, not toys. B says, we are not kids. Bixel wanted to know, a snack, Copper, who would eat you?
Pyewacket says, but we gets mistaken for bears on Bear Island. Yeah, you have to be cautious on Bear Island, otherwise they think you're Linden Bears and try and buy you.
And take you home forever. Copper says, you'd be surprised. There's a certain Biggie Purple Wolf, for instance. She's a real-life friend, so that's a bit different. Caleb says, just like all other avatars, we are real people on the other side of the keyboard. Raymond says, I mainly just have to be quick on my feet. A lot of people don't look out below them when there are tinies in the area. Raymond, just an aside, since petites and the micros have debuted, I am very careful to watch what's on the ground or hovering in the air.
So I was going to ask, what do tinies see in the future? Do you think there'll be more mesh tinies? Caleb says yes, more mesh tinies. And then Pixel says, just a thought, any opinions on the micro avatars, which make out tinies look big? Tinies on TV.
Oh, what a good idea.
Yeah. Well, tinies are going to be on TV really soon. And of course there is the project www.jazzpause.com. The idea of putting tinies on the TV.
B says, I think of micros as tinies as well.
And Devona asks, says she read about the Jazz Pause project and how is it going? Copper says micros are really tiny. Most are friendly. Some are very well done. So we're asking for an update on Jazz Pause from Zane. Pixel asks if anyone has met Lomgren Smalls.
I think Longren was the first micro avatar, wasn't it?
Zane says we're getting ready to pitch in Cannes, France, and Ottawa, Canada for Jazz Pause. For the reimagined version of the Tinies of Raglandshire.
And Bixel is saying, yes, Lom was the first tiny.
And people are wishing Zane good luck.
And Giovanna is crossing fingers and good luck.
I know, right?
And I'd like to just say something to the tinies of Raglandshire. I have been to the Sims many times, and I must say your community is one of the best organized. You have your group, Friends of Raglandshire. You have your events calendar that anybody can go online to look at, see what events you've got going, not only here in Second Life, but in Worlds too. You have your own magazine, the Shire Times, plus your Sims. So I think you all deserve congratulations in having such a great community and keeping it so well organized.
Absolutely. And now, I think, as we come to the top of the hour, maybe it is time
Yes.
for Tiny River Dance.
Yes, we have to have the river dance. Come on, you tinies. Get up and river dance. I love it. Come on, tinies, get up here on the stage. River dance. Come on, get up on the stage. Yes.
Come and join us on the stage and river dance.
Yes. Come on, up on the stage. Raymond, get up here. Kayak, we want you up on the stage. Everybody for coming. This was so much fun.
It was great fun. Thank you so much. Thank you everyone for coming and joining in. This has been a great fun talk.
Take care, Willow, and thank you.
We can dance if we want to. We can leave your friends behind. 'Cause your friends don't dance, and if they don't dance, well, no dance.
Thank you, everyone. This has been great fun.
And don't forget, visit the Raglan Shire, pick up a copy of the magazine, and yes, be sure to listen to Jazz Paws.
And watch it too.
Oh, yes.
Bye-bye. Thank you.
Oh, that was a lot of fun.
It was. By the way, if any of you want to learn about Firestorm and Phoenix, they've got a talk starting on the other half of this stage. And I'm sure that would be interesting too. Tomorrow we have talks with the kids of Escapeds, and we have a talk with the Elves of Avilion. So do come and join us tomorrow.
Oh, that sounds like fun, Copper.
Yeah.
Charades. Oh, how cool, Bixel. Alright, Saffia, it's time for you to go get some sleep.
What a nice idea, but unlikely.
Siobhan, nag her. Meow your little head off. Walk on her keyboard. Lay on the keyboard.
Siobhan's gone to sleep.
Oh, well, shucks.
Well, she just lifted her head at her name.
Siobhan. Come on, Siobhan. Come on, sweetie.